most of the Arabs came as a result of the return of the Jews to the land.
That's right.
And go back to the 1984 book that was written by Joan Peters, and it's called From Time Immemorial. She's a CBS, she passed away not long ago, CBS producer of documentaries. She was sent by the Carter administration to write a book about the rights of the Palestinians over the land. Jimmy Carter was a great advocate of the Palestinians. And it's interesting because when she started digging into all the archives of the Ottoman Empire, the UN, and the British Mandate, she was shocked to find out that most of the land was underpopulated in the mid-1800s. Most of those Arabs came as a result of the Jewish return, when the Jews brought in a lot of wealth and industry and agriculture, and those Arabs saw good future, and they moved in. So everyone that says we were there first, it was our land first, that's nonsense. It's nonsense because it's not even based on facts. And again, when we talk about give them back, there is no give them back. They never had it to begin with. The land was occupied ever since the Jews were expelled. The land was occupied by foreigners, by the Romans and the Byzantines, and then the early Muslims, and then came the Crusaders and the late Muslims, and then of course the Ottoman Empire for 500 years, and eventually the British Mandate that started in the early 1920s. And the mandate that was given to Britain was that that Palestine would be a place where the Balfour Declaration be fulfilled. And the Balfour Declaration was the promise of the British Empire for a Jewish homeland. And it's interesting because at the moment when the mandate was given, Palestine was actually Jordan and Israel of today. So people don't know that. And it's interesting because none of them comes to the Jordanian and says, hey, that's Palestine as well. It's funny because Jordan controlled the West Bank until 1967, and no one asked them for a state for the Palestinians. Egypt controlled Gaza until 1967, and no one asked them for a Palestinian state. In fact, when we fought against Egypt and then signed peace with them in 1979, the Egyptians said, give us Sinai back, but please keep Gaza to yourself. We do not want that one back.
Isn't that something?
Listen, that's what we have right now. People don't know that history. And we have to admit that lies and deceptions are all over, all around. And we have to fight it, and fighting it by knowledge and by education. And the Bible is, I think, the best source of education, because if you go to the book of Nehemiah, to chapter 2, you see that one of those who mocked Nehemiah for returning back to Jerusalem was Geshem the Arab. And Nehemiah himself said, you will never understand why I'm back in the land and why I'm back in Jerusalem, because you have no heritage, you have no memorial, you have nothing in Jerusalem. You don't know Jerusalem. It means nothing to you. Because that's not yours. So you will never understand why I have to go all the way back here and rebuild the city and rebuild the walls and rebuild the temple. So even the Bible tells us that the Arabs had no heritage and no memorial and nothing regarding Jerusalem or the rest of the country.